The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I started to question myself if I was watching Lucha Underground and I had accidentally flipped over to Cinemax.
Not a whole lot of faces shown as far when it comes to Brenda, so
yeah,
you're spot on there, buddy.
This is the house that AJ Styles built.
Like Nakamura, he's just such a great star. It doesn't matter what you do with him, people are going to cheer for him.
Did you feel the gloriousness? Did you feel it? Bobby Roode did his job.
This is insane how great they are.
Well, I think the authors of pain are young prodigies.
That's how good we are representing Bullet Club. This is what we do.
Super Kid Pate! Bam!
Well, recently I just found out that an action of my past has a serious consequence. When I was in college at Clarion University, I dated a young lady. We dated for a while, then we stopped dating. And it wasn't until recent I found out that she gave birth 9 months after our last date. She gave birth to a baby boy. So I'd like to introduce to you the newest member of RoH, my son. You may know him as Jason Jordan.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 256, part 1. And, of course, we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com as well as 411mania.com. That's right. Hey, and if you want to come find us every other place that we are available, make sure you go find us on Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network, wherever you get podcasts. And also, don't forget, we are also on YouTube. So if you find all your listening information or whatever you do on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe at Wrestling to the Max. And of course, that'll also give you a chance to, subscribe to that channel and get emails anytime that we are around. Trust me, sometimes that's just easier for people. Or, maybe, want to find us any other way. We are usually available. So we appreciate all of you for joining in with us. We, of course, are without one of our co-hosts tonight. But, of course, I am your host, Gary Vaughan. Along with me is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And that guy we were missing is Sean tonight. Sean, of course, has been so busy. Let me tell you really quickly about this guy. So this guy pretty much keeps track of everything over there at W2Mnet.com. And he has to basically watch every section, make sure everybody gets what they need, and, of course, edit almost everything that, people need. So that means a lot of content. Plus, this guy, that doesn't stop there. He also does several different podcasts besides this one. And so, we give him a lot of leeway because he is a working man and he also has a full, still at home, plus he works. So this guy is always busy. We never fault him for missing a show. I just want to say that we appreciate him so much. And I'm pretty sure what happened tonight was he got through doing a game podcast that he had to get done, and now he probably fell asleep trying to get ready for this show. So, yeah.
Sometimes that happens. I can't say I've been immune to that unfortunate happening either, but Sean does work very hard, and it's always nice to take a night off or two.
It really is, and I don't, like I said, I don't blame him, and I know he really didn't want to miss. But you know what? Sometimes when you work as hard as he does, your body's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to sleep. You know, so it happens that way, and I don't want people to think that his absence is anything but the fact that he's working so hard. And trust me, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, what else does he do? Go check out all the other content. Everything's at w2mnet.com. He does Soccer to the Max, which is a big deal because right now they have all the different stuff going on in the summer. I would be ignorant if I started spouting out what it is because I honestly don't get a chance to pay attention to what it is. But there's a very important cup going out right now. I know that for a fact.
And he's also CONCACAF Gold Cup, I believe, is what they're covering right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and so he's been super busy with that. Plus, he's also doing a football show, getting everybody ready for the NFL season coming up, and I'm a part of that too. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff this guy is doing that you know, of course, have to pay attention to. And if you love video games, go check out, video games to the max, excuse me. So there's so much he's doing, and that's why, once again, I don't want people to think that me and Paul are just cutting bait with Sean or something like that. He's never on. It's just the fact that Sean has got a lot of hands in different jars right now, and we're going to give him that ability to do that because, you know, it's what he loves. This is what Sean loves to do, and we started this whole thing out with Wrestling to the Max. This is where this is the flagship show on W2Mnet.com, as you would read, W2Mnet.com. But, you know, once again, he's got a lot of stuff going on. There you go. Just want to give people a heads up what's happening there. Paul, I mean, we're about to talk a lot about some great stuff in the world of wrestling. We're going to be talking about the cancellation of Talking Smack. We're going to be getting into a lot of other big news topics this week in Quit the Kids, which I can't wait to jump into. So much to talk about, as well as we're talking Ring of Honor. That's right. Ring of Honor this week was a pretty interesting episode that we can't wait to delve into. So much to get into when it comes to wrestling. But before we do that, I just got to stop and say this. You know, we sometimes talk about entertainment on this show and different things that we're enjoying and just having a good time and watching. I'll say this, you know, there was a show I've been watching. It's called Fear the Walking Dead, and I know a lot of people jump ship, and I don't blame them because, honestly, I wanted to be one of them, but I stuck with it. And the end of season, I know. It sounds terrible to say that, but I wanted to be.
I wanted to be one of them. I really did. Too many zombies in that water, huh?
I know, right, dude? It's just I was the Watching Dead for a long time in that show. But I'll say this: at the end of season 2, man, I actually kind of got back into that part of it, you know. So I actually am very happy with that. I told a buddy, I said, "Hey, it's worth it. Go just power through the stuff that you may not like and get to the end of season 2. So that was something I did this week, and you know, of course, I'm still loving watching Preacher and things like that. So that's what's going on in my world. Besides a lot of the other crazy crap I got going on. Did you do anything fun? Anything you're watching? Anything?
Not really anything big TV-wise happening for me right now, other than the new announcement of the new Doctor that they did on Sunday, which is a lady, which has sent the internet into a tailspin because, oh my god, the world is ending. The Doctor is now a woman. Big deal.
You know, is it really that big of a surprise? I mean, I get it, yes. It's always been a man, and that's fine. I mean, it is, you know, kind of going into that context from history, but here's the thing. I mean, it's a new world. You know, women are now, you know, in that platform where, you know, they can be a part of anything, do anything. I mean, they're leaders of countries. They rule, you know, corporate businesses. They do all sorts of things now, and they're big in Hollywood. They're even big in wrestling. So, I mean, is it any shock? Is it just because of the history of Doctor Who that people just don't like you messing with that?
I think it's mostly that. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, change is scary for people, I guess. I don't know. Like, the actress is very talented. She's been in, she was in Attack the Block. She was in Broadchurch. She's done a whole lot of the big, you know, English shows that have made it over here to the States. She's wonderful, too, and I'm forgetting her name, unfortunately, right now, because I wasn't expecting to talk about this. But, you know, it's just, you know, people are picky. They like what they like, and, you know, damn it if it looks offensive to anybody else.
Well, I think it's going to be, in a way, probably a breath of fresh air because you can look at things in a different perspective when it comes to Doctor Who. And also, you got the Comic-Cons. You know, you're going to have a ton of female Doctor Who's now, and that's going to be awesome, right? Yeah. I mean, that's going to be something cool for them, too, because, you know, they just show up and just had to play a different character. Now they get to be the Doctor as well. So
right, exactly.
There you go. I mean, positive things coming out of that. So good. Hey, that's something cool in your world. And, just things are going as usual. It's the summertime. It's freaking hot. I don't like being in the sun. So
we are in store for some triple degree weather down here in Texas, folks. And it's not fun. It is not fun.
And people wonder why we sit on this podcast before we talk wrestling and talk about things inside the house and not outside the house, right?
Right.
So that's the number one reason right there I'm talking TV and movies, guys, is because I am not going to get out there in the 100 and whatever degree weather to do anything. Yeah. I have to because I have a daughter. I have to push her on the swing, but I try to do that in like 5 minutes and run back in before I catch on fire.
Just leave her outside to burn, huh, Gary? It's great parenting.
I've been telling her my name is Cassidy and I can't stand the sun. So anyway,
who's that, Daddy?
Yeah, trust me, you don't never need to know, honey. But anyway, man, I could go on and on about that stuff. Enough about my bloodletting. Let's do some good stuff. Let's talk some wrestling. Sean's probably screaming at us right now, like, guys, talk wrestling. So let's do it. Let's go and jump into some quick hits. I'm really excited about talking about some of these news topics because, trust me, I've got an opinion. We'll be right back with that next.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
Okay, so the first thing in the docket we're going to talk about tonight is something that really kind of pissed me off. And you'll find out why it really pissed me off. And I think it pissed off a lot of fans who really enjoy, watching wrestling, especially the stuff that they have added on that actually, to me, has been great ideas for WWE. Well, recently, actually this past week, they decided that Talking Smack no longer needs to be a thing on the reg, and that means that Talking Smack is no longer going to follow SmackDown. It is only going to be after SmackDown pay-per-views. It's going to be like Raw Talk. So there you go. Apparently, the rumors going around is that Vince McMahon has not really enjoyed the unscripted nature of the show. He doesn't like a little bit of the transparency that you get, especially when it comes to Daniel Bryan and, some of the conversations in between some of the superstars about things and other promotions, some of the background information you get out of these guys that is very real. And so Vince basically said, you know what, it's not scripted enough. It's not what my creation's about. Let's just can it. Let's just get rid of it, and we'll just use it after pay-per-views. That way they can't talk about anything else but what happened on the pay-per-view. And what's even weirder about this is the fact that Renee Young and Daniel Bryan both found out about this on Twitter. So when you were on your Twitter feed and you saw this actually being a situation where they got canceled, well, guess what? The two hosts of the show found out at the same time you did. That's very strange. And another thing is Renee Young herself is getting kind of kicked in the junk here because her show Unfiltered on the network was canceled as well. So she's taking a double whammy at this, and this is just kind of sucks to me. I hate this, Paul.
It also should be noted that The Miz was upset because I think you could probably attribute Talking Smack to the resurgence of his career in the past year, for sure, at least. And Kevin Owens, ever the beautiful heel that he is, was super happy to see it go because he wasn't a fan of Renee Young and Daniel Bryan's bipartisanship against him, essentially.
And let me just say this. This is why I love Talking Smack, is because what he was doing on Talking Smack when Kevin Owens was just being a jerk, it was classic. It was great. It's something they cannot do on the regular show. Mm-hmm. My God, I mean, it was just brilliant. So there you go. We just lost that, and we lost all the great stuff that we could get in the future.
Yeah, it's a real shame. One, because I felt like Talking Smack at least made SmackDown feel like a different show. You didn't have... this made it stand out from Raw, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, right? You have your standard 2 hours, which are usually much more enjoyable, and then you get Talking Smack, where you get to get some little bit of extra add-ons and some little extra stuff, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's hilarious, and like Kevin Owens' shenanigans since he's been on that show are just top-notch, but it just really does suck. And Vince, it shouldn't be surprising, right, that he doesn't like the unscripted aspect of all of this. But it's not, I don't know if it's more or less because of the vision that he has, and it very well might have something to do with it, that they're making stuff that's not his, and that's not how he wants to play ball here, but he also feels like it being unscripted might hurt the company in the long run with some of the stuff that might come out on there, too. So, it's like taking away a toy from a kid who's not being overly bad with it, right? Like, he's breaking a few rules here and there, but it's not like he's raising all kinds of hell with it, but, you're just tired of them having it, so you just take it away. Because you're a jerk, and you hate wrestling, Vince.
Oh, man. Me and you both are very bitter about this.
I'm a little upset, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this was awful news. I mean, like for everything you said, it was something super special. And, the WB, right? I mean, they are very scripted. They're all about what Vince is wanting to do with characters and how his playground is run. Mm-hmm. But with Talking Smack, and I would even say Unfiltered, I think that's another reason Unfiltered got cut too, is because those shows gave you an insight on what these superstars are really about. Like, what are they? Who are they? Mm-hmm. The things that we don't get a chance to learn in 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a Raw or a SmackDown, we can find on a 15 to 20 minute show, or even 30, however longer, without it being a documentary, right? Because sure, the 24, those are great, right? You get to find out about Kurt Angle and all he's about, his struggles. That's wonderful. But sometimes you don't want to sit through a documentary to find out about people. You want to sit down for about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, 20 to 30, and just get some of the real raw things about people. Like, who are they? What happened to them? Tell me some funny stories from college. Tell me what happened with your old trainer and getting ready to start wrestling. Things like that. Things that you could find out on those shows that you wouldn't get the chance to find out anywhere else. That was super cool. It was WWE regulated. It was just classic. Now you're taking that away. You're taking a lot of creativity away, especially on Talking Smack, because like you mentioned about Kevin Owens, well, really, honestly, The Miz, that was a big deal. Heck, I would even say the Usos. I kind of thought the Usos were able to be themselves a little bit at times on there, and you really got a chance to kind of stop thinking about what some of the preconceived ideas you'd have, and really kind of reconsider some of these characters about what they would do on Talking Smack. And so it's just a shame, man. It's almost like Vince is like, okay, I'm the only creative soul here. They need to stay out of it, which is very weird because you have Stone Cold, you have other guys like, I would say Jericho, who on their podcast every week talk about how important it is to be yourself, to showcase who you are. Mm-hmm. That's the only way you're going to get over in this business. The only way you're going to get Vince to like you. And Bailey said that Vince told her that. I just listened to Stone Cold's podcast this past week, and he had Bailey on for 2 episodes in a row, 2 weeks in a row, I should say. And the one thing that she got when she talked to Vince was be yourself. But apparently, being yourself is not what he really wants you to do, because of stuff like this. He's canceling it. He's getting rid of the things that are making you show yourself. He's just sticking with what he wants. And I don't know. I guess like you mentioned, he said, Vince is kind of concerned about some of the things going on because of the fact that it could hurt the direction of characters, because he has a certain thing in mind. He wants to go that way. And if it's well known that something else is in play, he has to evolve it around that. And he doesn't want to. He wants to round about this just the way he wants it. So it's just like we're upset at our parent right now. We're just very pissed.
Yeah, it's be yourself within the confines of the idea that I'm giving you, right? And if you get over my way and your way together, then that's great. If it's just you, that's maybe not so great. So, yeah, it's exactly what you said, and it really sucks for a lot of the talent who were using this opportunity well. You mentioned a lot of them. Even if you weren't just a WWE fan, you've been around. A lot of guys that are on SmackDown have been on the indie scene for a while. You might have got to see them come up. It's kind of nice to watch AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan interact. It's kind of nice to watch these guys who worked together for so long reminisce and talk about how well they know each other and bring up some other things that really, I think, help you learn that there is a relationship there. There is something here that makes it to where Daniel Bryan is a more believable GM because he has all these connections with people. Like, he he's not only their boss, but he's known them for forever because he used to be a wrestler and all this other stuff. So I just, you're losing out on a whole lot that lets you endear yourself to a lot of people, and I think that's a much bigger drawback than maybe having somebody get over a way you weren't expecting to, or for a little bit of dirty laundry to air, even though it's still on your network that you control, right? I mean, I feel like you could fix that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you could work that, and you know, you can still do this, but do it in a way that, you know, fits what your formula is and the things you want to do. But I think, you know, it's man, I think we just talked about this last week, but Vince is up there in age, and he's set in his ways, and I get it. I mean, I totally understand. You've done this a long time, Vince. You've had a lot of experience with media and, you know, of course, working scripts and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, we're in a new era, and the era we're in now is all about transparency. We want to find out every little detail about people. Now, this is not 1980 where you got away with just saying, hey, this is who they are, and people just had to say okay because the internet wasn't around. You had to send in a postcard to someone to you know, even get a response. It wasn't like I can just tweet you, you know, Hulk Hogan, I'm going to tweet you 1,000 times. No, it was I have to send him a letter and pray to God that he responds to me. Otherwise, you're out of luck. And so, you know, the way we are now, we're that way with each other, Paul. I mean, my God, there's a reason we have Facebook, because we get to pay attention to every little detail that people give us. Right. I mean, you know how many kids that your buddy in, you know, Michigan has because you have Facebook. Otherwise, 1980, 1990, you would be like, well, if I don't call him, I'll meet him, you know, at a funeral somewhere and find out 6 kids later. Right. So, I mean, seriously, it's just that way. So we are very much now kind of people. We are very much transparent, and hopefully they'll get that. Maybe this will come back. Maybe they'll find a new way of doing it. I'm going to be hopeful that that's the case. But right now, I'm a little bit concerned and just bummed out. I've been bummed out for Renee Young. She's a great host. She was so great on Talking Smack. She does Raw, of course, Raw Talk and all that. But I think also the Unfiltered show. At first, I didn't watch it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really even give it a chance. But one day, there was just nothing going on, and I just tuned in for a couple, and I got hooked. I was like, I got to watch all these. Because I think she does a wonderful job interviewing people, very laid back, makes you feel comfortable, and I think that they're really kind of losing out on, you know, using her talent. And so maybe they'll do it another way, but I'm just really bummed about this whole deal. And I know she is too, because I know she was very proud of that work she did. So
she on Twitter, she talked very much about how hard they worked on Talking Smack to make it something worth watching every week, and it's very sad. And, you know, somebody then asked her if they canned Unfiltered, to which she replied yes. So I'm sure it's not a great day over there at the Ambrose/Young household.
Yeah, I'm sure not. Probably lots of Canadian swears were coming out in that household. So that would have been fun to see and watch and listen to. Trust me, I'd pay to see that. But anyway, I'd pay more than $9.99. But yeah, well, we probably should jump off this. People are going to get here tired of us complaining and moaning and all that. But we'll move on to something else. And I think this is interesting because we just talked about this last week because it was a huge deal. We all know that AJ Styles beat Kevin Owens at the Garden in a house show to win the U.S. title. Well, you know, we were hearing it was about really, you know, getting AJ that special moment for his DVD and all of that. And we were getting some of that. But there's also some other talk about the fact that it's more than that. There's some layers to this. And the other layer to this is the fact that Kevin Owens is going to go on a different path, and they're going to rework his character a little bit here. And the reason being is because there's a lot of that whole "you dumb Americans" thing going on, right? That's what they're doing. It's Hate America, and they had Kevin Owens doing it. They have Jinder Mahal, and now Rusev joined the whole, you know, Hate America kind of gimmick. So they want to change things around a little bit, like Kevin Owens go on a different path. And, of course, I think, honestly, to me, that's a great idea because I don't think that he was exceptionally strong at that whole thing at the face of America. I just didn't care for it personally. So, yes, that's wonderful news. But that's also part of the reason they did that. I'm really kind of curious what you think about this, though, Paul, because, I mean, the U.S. title, being involved in a situation like that makes sense with someone who's not big, you know, with America. Jinder Mahal's doing it with the main title. I don't know if it's really a great idea to have your U.S. title be in the same picture, but I get why they got Kevin Owens out of it.
Yeah, I feel, one, he's the most talented out of the three you just named as far as playing a character. His promo skills are excellent. I feel like he could really make anything believable as far as him talking and all that. And he's so much more talented than somebody who should be playing the anti-America gimmick, right? So totally down for whatever direction they want to go with. If it's back to being the prize fighter again, that's great. If it's back to just being an arrogant jerk, that's fine too. If they want to make him a bit meaner, because outside of Baron Corbin, you don't really have a lot of big mean guys on SmackDown, so maybe you go that route too. But I'm a fan of this idea. It makes sense, and I honestly, like you said, I have no problem with this. Rusev, I think, is a great worker, but I think he's been pigeonholed, already into the role that he's going to be in, and Jinder Mahal is going to be what Jinder Mahal is right now, and that's probably what he always will be.
Yeah, and I think that it really has to be his gimmick. I don't know that he's exceptionally strong without that. Kevin Owens, like you said, I mean, my God, he's got so much going for him. I kind of thought that whole anti-American thing for him was just so odd because it in a way you could say it fit him, but in a way it really didn't. It was almost like a crutch he didn't need. Mm-hmm. It's like watching a healthy guy walk around and saying, "Hey, give me those crutches." I just did not. I didn't understand what the heck that was about. But okay, so I mean, to me, that's a really positive thing. But yeah, to your point, Jinder Mahal, he kind of needs it. I mean, that's his thing. And Rusev, I think we've seen a lot of this, and I'm okay with it. But I'm really hoping they rework him. I think that. Honestly, Rusev has more to offer. I really do feel that way. Mm-hmm. And I think you can get into that mode of being a really strong heel without the anti-American thing. But, I think they're still reworking things, and it's going to take a little time to rebuild these guys and change them around to where they can be something, diverse and have a little variety here, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'm really interested in seeing what they can do. But you know what? Something else that's going to be kind of interesting because we got so many different big things coming out of SmackDown and, of course, Raw going into SummerSlam. Well, we got some word that it's going to be a 4-hour show again this year. Wow. Of course, should I be that surprised? I don't know.
Surprise!
Yeah. I think we kind of expect it with, WrestleMania and SummerSlam. They're going to be long shows, but, I think that they have to be with two brands being mixed in. They kind of be, you kind of have to have a lot of that. But anyway, so there you go. That's a big surprise, but not really. But there is something out there that you may not know. They are thinking about bringing back Nikki Bella, and Nikki Bella apparently will be back before SummerSlam and probably looking to compete at the event. So I'm really not sure what they can do. I'm sure they can find something for her. But I mean, this is interesting. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, no shocker that maybe SummerSlam's going to be 4 hours again, especially now that you have two brands. You can have a little bit more match variety across both brands and all that good stuff. So that's fine. And I don't necessarily have a problem with Nikki Bella coming back either. The women's division on SmackDown is interesting, but they could use another face. That is what Nikki is going to be whenever she comes back because, she's going to get that big pop. And, she may not be as great in the ring, but people care about her, and I think she'll make the division more interesting. And more depth is always nice too. So I'm not against the idea entirely. I don't hate the Bellas as much as I really used to. They've kind of grown on me in a way.
Hey, at least you can say that. I can't say that. I just I don't know. Just not a big fan of theirs. I mean, nothing against them. I don't really see anything that really makes me happy or feel really any indifferent towards the Bellas. I don't know. I'm guessing they're going to be on SmackDown, right?
Yeah. I would assume Nikki would still be on SmackDown.
And that's what I would think too. But you just never know. Her husband or her future husband, being the powerhouse man he is, could probably have her wherever he wanted her to. So I didn't know if that was the case.
Oh my.
But I mean, hey, many other men did that as well. So anyway. There's that transparency thing coming out, people. I'm sorry. Sorry, I had transparency. Anyway, sister's not much better. But anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. But I think you're right. I think for the fact that Nikki Bella joining up and joining the SmackDown Women is not a bad idea because they've kind of been in a little bit of a rut and really nothing super special. I mean, the Carmella holding the briefcase thing for the Money in the Bank, it's kind of interesting. Naomi's run as the women's champion has been, yeah. So
meh is a good word.
I was trying to think of some word that kind of went with glow. There's no really glow. There's nothing it's just, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, it's meh. Meh is the perfect word. But anyway, so I think Nikki being a part of that really does help. And hey, there you go. Have her return, have her face somebody, and make it a big match for SummerSlam. Not a bad deal. And I think 4 hours, as much as it seems like a long show, I think you'll have a lot of those special little matches involved that'll kind of make it not feel like 4 hours because you got returns like Nikki Bella and a few other people and a few matchups that you didn't expect to come out of this. I think that show will be okay, and I think it, will probably need the 4 hours, honestly. So, moving on from that, though, let's talk about something else that's really kind of interesting. Let's talk about a major free agent that will be on the market and probably not too long here in the near future, and that is Rey Mysterio. Yeah, that's right. You haven't heard of that name in a long while, have you, people? Well, Rey Mysterio is going to be a free agent when Season 3 of Lucha Underground is over. He has to wait 90 days past that, but he will be a free agent following all that, which means he'll be able to compete in early 2018. And what the interesting thing also about this is the fact that you have WWE and Global Force Wrestling both trying to get his services. That's right. They're negotiating with him, trying to get him to see their points of view and why their company is the best one to sign with. And I think there's, positives and negatives with both companies. The positive of WB is the fact that, it's a big company. He's going to make lots of money. And he's also got a door open right there for his son because his son's training to be a wrestler right now. So NXT would probably open his doors gladly for young Mysterio. I forget his name right now.
Dominic,
thank you. So yeah. Dominic, I don't know if he's going by Dominic Mysterio or wherever he's going to go by, but Dominic will be probably going to NXT if Rey does sign with WB. Now, going to GFW is not a bad idea for Rey, though, right? He's, 46 or something like that? He's getting up there in age. And with Global Force Wrestling, you're going to get the time off you need because they, do quite a bit of shows in one, week or so, and then they get a long break. And that'll be good on his body. And not only that, they'll also give him time to focus on his son, and he'll be able to do other things with his family. So it's yin and yang, whatever decision he makes. But I think it's really interesting to me that WWE is still in the game. I guess it's because they really do want to grab that Hispanic audience, but there's a lot much involved in here.
Rey will be 43 in December this year. So there's that. This isn't all that surprising to me if he is looking to go back on to one of the larger promotions. I would think he would go back to WWE just because they are willing to work with you part-time. If he wants to open the door for his son, that's a great way to do it. And there's a lot of great talent there to work with now that could that could create a lot of dream matches for him if he does want to stick around there for more or less time. I wouldn't necessarily have a large problem with him going to GFW either. I'm not a giant Rey Mysterio fan, especially not as big as I used to be a long time ago, but he has lost a step here or there due to age, but he can still compete. I think GFW would be interesting, mostly because, you have Patron there still for however long that might last, I guess depending on what's going on with their whole drama over there. But for me, I think WWE is just the better fit. He has history, and I think it'll work out better for him in the long run.
I think you're right. I mean, like I said, I can see both sides of this, and I can understand where Rey would probably not go wrong doing either, right? Mm-hmm. I think GFW, okay, so GFW is not as well known, and he's not going to make a ton of money there, but I think it's a spot where he could be a big help, and he could also get a lot of people to kind of look at that promotion and really try to see what they're doing because, Mysterio is a huge name and people are going to follow him, especially if he, puts it out there that what he's doing. So I think the time off and all that's a big key here, especially with a 43-year-old body that's been to the ringer and done lots of, let's just be honest, lots of brutal battles on his body. I think this guy would probably really appreciate that time off. But, like you said, too, with WB giving him a part-time schedule, it'd probably do the same. So I just really do want to see what decision he makes, and I also want to see what happens with his son Dominic, because I know as much as Ray wants to keep putting money up for retirement and putting money, into his bank account, I think a lot of this has to do with his son. I really, really do. And, the last time I heard him talk, I think it was on Jim Ross's podcast, he was talking about the fact that, he's really focused on Dominic right now. He's really working with him, and he's trying to make sure that he understands the business and pays his dues and things like that. And with his focus being so much on him, I think that's going to sway his decision so much more. And I think NXT is a big bait to dangle in front of Mysterio. I just really do think that. So, but yeah, we'll find out in the near future. Well, I say the near future. It'll be a little while.
Yeah, I think season 3 wraps in September for Lucha Underground, so he wouldn't be able to actually show up on anybody's TV show till like December, maybe.
Yeah, so basically, I'm trying to remember the way it works, but you'll have it 90 days following that time in September when it does basically end. He can sign with another company, but he cannot perform, right?
Right, I believe that is how that works, too. And this is, of course, assuming Lucha Underground doesn't get a season 4, which doesn't look likely at this point, but miracles can happen.
Yeah, we're still wishing, and, we may have to go to Miracle on 34th Street or wherever that was, and really, really pray and say, Santa Claus, help! So, but anyway, that sucks. I don't even want to talk about Lucha Underground ending. I hope not. But yeah, we'll find out about the whole Rey Mysterio saga probably in September. Let's move on from here, though. There's some stuff going on here in AAA that I really want you to kind of delve into and kind of give us the scoop on what's going on here with Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah, so and this is Taya from Lucha Underground, of course. So she was the women's champion, the Reina de Reinas, the Queen of Queens, for AAA. It's their women's championship. Sexy Star returned to the company, and what basically had happened is that they asked Johnny Mundo, who is Taya's fiance, to bring her championship with him for some tapings. He did so. They held on to the belt after he left because they said they needed to do stuff promotionally for it, for some photos. They ended up holding on to it. They announced that Taya they vacated the championship and that Taya had refused to defend the title, so they stripped her of it. And they then gave it to Sexy Star on the TV tapings, and in a match that she beat Ayako Hamada for, and she got really upset about all this because they said that she was scheduled to be there. She was not, so she walked out on them. She's quit AAA. Johnny Mundo may not be far behind her, and he's their current everything champion. He holds the Mega title, the Latin America Championship, and the World Cruiserweight title for them. And obviously, if he walks, that could create a bit of a problem for them. So this is pretty shady stuff.
It sounds like it. And you know what? I mean, honestly, with AAA overall, it seems like in the past year or 2 years, to me, of course, I don't follow AAA as closely as I'm sure you do, but it just seems like their dealings with people have been very shady, and the way they've treated their talent. I mean, I think of Pentagon Jr., Pentagon Dark, and the fact that they wouldn't let him, use his name anywhere else and that kind of stuff, and just so much other stuff that has happened with her talent. I could understand where this could be the case, and I'm sure Taya, really felt like she deserved to keep the title, and really didn't understand, exactly why they were doing that. But I mean, it really affects a company when they have a spouse or a relationship involved between people because I mean it's a ripple effect, and we've seen this in of course WWE and what's gone on there. We saw Stone Cold even be affected by this kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So many other people that on top have been affected by their significant other, and this is no different. Johnny Mundo leaving will be a huge hit to AAA, and they'll be kind of scrambling to kind of move on and find some other ways to keep people enticed in what they're doing. But wow, that's a big hit, and I'm sure they may either reconsider, why they did what they did, or maybe just not care and just say we'll get over it. So
there's a lot of rumor mongering going around that maybe Sexy Star said she would come back to the company if they gave her the championship, and that's why they did this. But that's only rumors. So there's no fact there. It's just this is what's being reported as far as what happened to Taya. She's quit. She walked out on him. So
yeah. But don't you think though that they really thought about this? I mean, at least I would think so, because if I knew that one of my biggest stars is with the other person, and I don't care what talent I got coming in, what this is going to cause, I'd almost say, hey, guys, is there any way we can work with this? Is there any way we can do something? We really need this extra talent. This person's going to be great. Can you work with me? We'll have you guys maybe change out the titles here and there. I don't know. I guess it's easier to stand on the outside looking in, right? It's a lot easier to do that than be in that seat.
For sure, and it's really interesting because it's not like Taya's chopped liver in Mexico. She spent most of her career down there. She is a star, and one of the the top people in that division. So it's really interesting that they would do this, especially for Johnny. As you mentioned, the relationship with Johnny Mundo, who they've put a lot of investment in since. They started kind of falling on hard times back in 2015 or so. So this is a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah, it really is. So, I mean, best of luck with them and what they're going to do, because, Taya walking out is just going to cause Johnny Mundo to fall really closely behind, because trust me, guys like that, they're free spirits. Johnny Mundo really, I'm sure is making good money there, but he can make good money anywhere else. He really can. I mean, this is not the only place, the only stop for him. There's plenty of other places right now that he can go and do pretty well for himself. So good luck, AAA. I hope you have some other reserves coming in following this whole thing. Let's talk about something else that's going on in another promotion. Let's talk about Ring of Honor and the fact that they have announced that they are going to be doing a Global Wars tour. That's right. It's not just going to be a pay-per-view, but they're actually going to do a tour with New Japan. And this is going to be really cool because they're going to have some big names. Kenny Omega is rumored to be one of them. This is going to be really interesting. And there's also another list of guys here, too, that, man, Paul, I mean, this really it really entices you to check this out.
Yeah, they're venturing out more into the Midwest here with Ohio and some other. I guess it's not technically the Midwest, but further west than what they usually do for War of the Worlds. So it's really neat. These are the shows that it was rumored that Kenny might defend his U.S. title on for the first time in the States, at least. And then they've already announced Kushida, who's of course still a Ring of Honor Television champion. Hiromu Takahashi, the Killer Elite Squad, and Yoshihashi, who's going to be performing for the first time in the States during this weekend of shows, or week, I think. So this is really, really neat. Shows that, of course, how successful the G1 special was for New Japan, that they're really eager to keep the presence up here in the States, and that, of course, spells money for Ring of Honor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of fans across the states who do follow New Japan and do follow Ring of Honor, and they're going to want to get those seats and really kind of get into this, because as we've seen, the Bullet Club is huge, and if Kenny Omega is anywhere near your hometown, you're going to want to go see him. And that's a big draw. Kushida's a big draw. There's so many people on the New Japan roster that is just going to get people out of their seats and coming to go see wherever they're at. And yes, I mean, Ring of Honor may not have, the big stars compared to what New Japan does right now, but Ring of Honor still has a lot of guys that people care about and want to watch and want to go see too. So this is a good amount of money going into Ring of Honor's pocket. And of course, New Japan's getting some of that as well. I think, wow, what a great idea. I mean, people watch this, they're excited about it, and the next thing the same people that you love watching halfway around the world, they're going to be in your backyard, and that's super special. That's super cool. Really, really happy about that. So I think this is very, very wise. Ring of Honor will also be doing something else. They'll be doing a Liverpool show while they're going through the UK, and this will be the World of Worlds pay-per-view. And this is something that I'm really kind of interested in. It'll be on Fight TV. You can get it for $19.99. You'll also, be able to see guys like Cody defend the Ring of Honor title, which will be really awesome. He'll be facing off against Sonata at this show. So this is going to be fun. I mean, it seems like this is going to be a really cool show to check out and spend your $20.
It's the first time Ring of Honor has aired anything remotely live from out of the country, so this is kind of a big deal for them. It's I don't know, like they're doing London the night before, and then they're going to Edinburgh afterwards. But they had a really great crowd in Liverpool the last time they toured UK at the end of last year for Reach for the Sky. So this could be a really big deal, and I hope this does well for them too. And when you have Rev Pro guys and Ring of Honor and all four of them, right? CMLL, New Japan, they're all going to be there. This should be a show that's absolutely worth $20, and that main event alone is,
Oh yeah, I mean that's exciting, and you know what? I mean, it's another reason why people should, make sure they pay attention to what's going on, even on Fight, the Fight TV app and things like that, because there's a lot of hidden nuggets out there that sometimes people miss, and I think this is going to be one of them. I think some people are not going to realize that this is out there, and I hope they, advertise it enough to let people know, hey, there's this great show and a super amazing main event awaiting you. Mm-hmm. So definitely a good idea on them, and I'm really happy to see all that. But yeah, I think that rounds out what we got tonight for Quick Hits. There's been a lot of great news topics, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about when we do Quick Hits again on Thursday night. But you know what? I mean, for this, we're going to have to go ahead and move on, and we are going to jump into this week's Ring of Honor TV taping. That's right. We had a kind of interesting one to talk about. We'll be doing that right after this.
All right. Ring of Honor opens this week with Cody coming out for that promo that he never got to cut a couple weeks ago. The crowd's super, super hot for him. It's really incredible. And he reveals that, of course, he still hasn't signed with Ring of Honor. He is, of course, the Ring of Honor World Champion. But he's eager to prove that he does belong, and he wants to do it in a rematch against Christopher Daniels, who has come out to say some not-so-nice things, apparently, that weren't even allowed to make tape. So they're going to face off in a 2 out of 3 falls match down the road for the championship. Interesting. I think I was more flabbergasted at how much the crowd was in love with him than anything.
They did love him, didn't they?
Oh,
they
my
were
God.
all about Cody, and there's no way. He's supposed to be this big heel. He's supposed to be the guy that everybody hates, but yet the other crowd loved him so much. He just embraced it. He's just like, thank you. Yes, I do deserve it. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I mean, so, hey, there's a point where you've got to embrace the crowd, even though you're not, supposed to love them. I think that, he did a pretty good job here. He sets up things right and, gets you understanding that, that he feels like he is the guy, and he should. He's the Ring of Honor champion. He should feel like he's the guy. And I love the fact that he also said it's not just his Ring of Honor title, it's the Rhodes family's Ring of Honor title. So I thought that was kind of cool, too. And it shows you still, once again, he's carrying his father with him, right? And still showing that respect, and not only that, paying homage to his dad, and of course I think his brother to an extent too. Even though he's in WB, he's still kind of showcasing the Rhodes family by his work, and I think it's really cool. And I think he did a good job in this whole little beginning here, because what they couldn't get across or get done, when Christopher Daniels was there, I think it was able to be done this time.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree with you. It's kind of almost a double turn, really. And I don't know if it's necessarily done on purpose, but, anything related to the Bullet Club and Ring of Honor is going to get cheered, and Daniels is already such a great heel that it doesn't take very long for him, I think, to get the crowd to not like, to want to boo him, I guess, even though they're still going to cheer him because it's Ring of Honor, but,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm necessarily looking forward to a 2 out of 3 falls match with them. They've been given a couple of opportunities, and they haven't really been home runs, even though I did enjoy their title match at Best in the World. It felt like it should have been more. Hopefully we'll get that here.
Yeah, I'm really, I hope it's one of those situations where they looked at this and knew they were going to go in this direction and said, we're going to do our best, but we're also going to save some things for later because we don't want to give it all away, where we need to make sure we leave some room for that rematch. And I'm hoping that's the case here. And, yeah, you're like you said, a 2 out of 3 falls match, it's going to be a big deal, but let's just hope that they can live up to it. I know they can. I know that they have the talent. That's not the argument here. It's just like, let's hope that the formula they put together ends up working out and being as smooth as it needs to be and not have the rough edges that kind of take people out of it. I hope really this does come down to these guys having an excellent match and having something that we're going to remember. That's my hopeful goal for this, because I think both guys are so talented, and Christopher Daniels, especially a guy that's winding his career down, these are the last opportunities he's going to have to do this kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Moving on from there, we have Jonathan Gresham taking on Punishment Martinez, and the size difference is pretty laughable here. Martinez, build-wise at least, is a foot taller than Jonathan, plus a little extra. This is a really fun match, though. I thought Gresham was very competitive here. He gets a lot of holds and sort of gets to show how smart he is against Punishment Martinez, big brawn style here. It wouldn't prove to be enough, however. Gresham eats a last ride on the apron, which is absolutely brutal looking. And then Punishment puts him away with a Psycho Driver to get the win. He goes to attack Gresham post-match, but Jay White, of course, makes the save because they're in the feud right now. And I would recommend this match to anybody out there listening right now. This was actually pretty good. It's a little slow in a few spots, but ultimately they put together something really entertaining.
Yeah, they did. And you know what? And Gresham is so athletic. I mean, this guy is amazing. I can't say enough good things about Gresham. I really can't. I enjoy his work. And this is no different. I mean, I honestly kind of felt, okay, so these two guys are going to mix it up. Gresham's going to get a little offense here and there. Then the next thing you know, Punishment Martinez is just going to put him away. I kind of felt that way. I thought somehow, some way that would be, a pretty short match. And man, they gave us such a great one here. And I just love the way that Gresham climbs this guy and just really treats him like a giant tree. He really does. I mean, hanging on him, put him in a hold, twist him up, just doing all these different things to kind of basically make, Punishment's life pretty hard here and keep him unbalanced. That was his goal here, is to keep Punishment Martinez unbalanced. And I think he did a great job of that. It took everything for Martinez to get back in this and to get on the outside and use that, you just said it, that last ride into the ring. I mean, my God, that ring apron probably hurt just as much, but oh my God, that looks so violent. In a way, I kind of felt like, how are they going to get much more out of Gresham after that? But they did, and what happens post-match, all that kind of took place. But man, I just want to say, great match out of two guys that I think are great, but I didn't expect this. I really thought that Punishment Martinez was going to have this handled quicker than it was.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they let Gresham look as competitive as they did. I wasn't expecting like a total out and out squash, but they've been on the Punishment Martinez train lately of trying to make him into something more than I think what they originally had planned, obviously, since that kind of fell apart a little bit. But I think they're succeeding. People do like him. It's just they're a little slow to warm up to him in matches still, which is weird. Yeah, it is very strange, and I think that, both these guys, are going in the right direction. I'm very happy with that. But, they're both kind of taking that whole path of, we got to have fans grow and follow us and really take that path, of, let's see if you can understand who we are without, us being on a microphone or us doing all these other things. Just see our work rate and understand how we're doing it. And I think both of them are on the right path. I think Gresham is going to get a lot more quicker because I just think that he's just so great in the ring. But Martinez is pretty empowering and pretty scary, so he may get it just because of his brute strength. And our RoH so rarely gets big guys, too, so I think they're trying to do as well by him as they can, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
After this, we go back to get an interview to see an angle, from backstage at Best in the World. Well, Bully Ray comes into the Briscoes locker room where they're arguing about how they lost the championships to Dalton Castle and the boys. Bully Ray steps in and pretty much just speaks the truth. Jay, you cost us the match by getting distracted and running off after the boys, and Mark, you got pinned. And that's just the way it is, but we need to get our acts back together. And they're going to be in the main event, which we'll talk about that later some. And then we get a promo from Andy Leon announcing that in 2 weeks we're going to get another Women of Honor special, which I'm kind of excited for. I've enjoyed most of the stuff I've seen from them. Silas, however, interrupts her before she can finish her announcement and says, nobody cares about women's wrestling. What everybody cares about is the fact that it's been 22 days since we've seen Jay Lethal on Ring of Honor television. And after that, he walks off, leaving Mandy to finish her promo. Any thoughts on that before we get to this next match?
I'll quickly talk about the Briscoes and Bully Ray. I think it was kind of interesting because this all needed to be shown. It really did. They've done a great job of showing us behind the scenes of the Briscoes and Bully Ray and what's going through their head. And they needed to do that. They need to keep us interested in why they're so angry. I appreciated everything that Bully Ray was saying, basically, pointing out both guys. But the one thing that was a little bit surprised was that these guys didn't lash out back at him. They both did and said, well, you were a part of this too. Where were you? That's what I wanted to see. But maybe that's not the point here. Maybe the point is that Briscoes are owning up to it, and the grizzled veteran is pointing it out to him. Maybe they're realizing that, hey, instead of pointing fingers, we just need to get this done. So I think you could look at it in that frame of mind, too, and that's the one that they want you to go with. But a little bit surprised that the Briscoes didn't just man up and say, look, you were just as much a part of that loss as we were, So, but I'm sure we'll talk more about those guys on the wall. And the last thing, Silas Young, oh my God. I laughed because I was thinking, oh, yes, I love it. You're playing your character through and through. A chauvinist, beer drinking, not caring about anyone else kind of guy. I love it. Not that I love his lifestyle, but I love the fact that he plays that character so well. Yeah. I've only heard him in a few other things, and when you hear him when he's not playing Silas Young, you're like, wow, he is not really him. This is crazy. But I love it because he said he's playing his father.
I could believe that. He really, if you follow him on Twitter, he actually seems like a pretty decent guy. So
yeah, he's not really a chauvinist, so don't send him hate mail. Well, I guess he wants you to send him hate mail. Send him as much as you want. He wants to get over the way. Believe
in kayfabe, guys. Believe in it. Tempura Boys take on Cheeseburger and his new tag team partner, Joey Diesel Dadiego, in a tag team match. This was solid enough. Anything really to write home about it. But Cheeseburger does get the win. He hits the Shote on Yo, I believe, to get the victory. A couple of fans dressed up in some Cheeseburger merch jump the rail and sort of celebrate with him, and security comes in to drag him off. However, one of the security guards turns out to be Will Ferrara, who attacks him and beats him down some before going back to the back. So this isn't over between those two.
No, and I'm just kind of surprised we haven't really seen much about this lately, and they finally put it back in the mix, and that's fine. I'm okay with the feud. I don't hate it. It's not really super strong or anything, but it doesn't need to be.
Right.
The one thing that I think about this is that I really enjoyed watching Diesel Daddio. He was kind of fun. I don't know why, but I really was paying attention to him and seeing what he did in this match, and I think he's a really good competitor, and I really liked him in this match. I don't know what it was about him, but I think he's a guy to watch out for. I was a little surprised that he wasn't around to celebrate when, Cheeseburger was getting beat up, but maybe he went ahead and said, hey, I won, so I'm going to go get me a cheeseburger.
Maybe he did. Dadiego is not a small gentleman.
Yeah.
They reveal that next week on Ring of Honor TV, Jay White's going to take on Kushida for the TV title. I'm super excited to see that match. And then
Man.
Yeah, that could headline anywhere, really. And then the Briscoes and Bully Ray team up to face off against the Young Bucks and Hangman Page in the main event. basically this comes down to a couple of referees getting taken out. Team Briscoes and Bully Ray end up they have the win in hand, right? They hit a 3D on Hangman Page. There's no referee to count. Some other stuff happens. Marty Scurll runs in, attacks Jay Briscoe, which allows the Bullet Club to get the victory here. Nobody on the former champion side here in the Briscoes and Bully Ray look very happy, and the Briscoes start tossing around security guards, trying to make themselves feel better through violence, which it doesn't work, guys. But this is really, really compelling stuff, actually, because it's been a little bit of a slow build, and it looks like the Briscoes are on the verge of turning heel. And does Bully Ray go with them? Does Bully Ray pull them back from the edge? Does Bully Ray say, "You're going down a path I can't follow," and goes find somebody else? Like, I'm strangely interested in this, even though I never thought I would actually be all that interested in this team.
Yeah, and they've done a great job of making you want to be interested, though. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm so happy about, is that they really invested the time to make you care about what's going on with the Briscoes and Bully Ray. And, this match, it was good, right? I mean, it was entertaining, but, like I always say, when the Young Bucks are involved, it's money. Mm-hmm. And, even if it's not a 5-star special, it's at least an entertaining one.
Right.
And I think that they gave you what they, normally do, and that's a fun match to watch. Nothing super spectacular, but, really entertaining. And then you get more of this, and the Briscoes are still angry. They lose another match, and you got Bully Ray. He looked as pissed off as ever. Mm-hmm. I want to find out if they're going to keep these guys together, or if Bully Ray is finally going to have enough and just leave these guys high and dry and let them pick up the pieces. That's what I want to know. And that's what's cool. That's what's really great about this, is they've got me kind of hanging on to that and really wanting to see next week's show so I can find out more information on that. I think, once again, you just never know with Bully Ray what he's thinking. And I think that's something super special about this, is because, as much as these guys think that Bully Ray's on their side, he may not be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or they may not see eye to eye anymore, or however this is going to go. Like, that's the interesting part. Like, there's so many different branches to follow here. Which one are they going to take? And that, unfortunately, ends this episode of Ring of Honor, because I'd love to see more from this feud, but we're just going to have to wait till next week.
Yeah, and let's also see if, Bully Ray and the Briscoes decide to go so crazy that they just are destroying everybody, which would be another fun aspect of that to watch. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. This is the end of this episode of Ring of Honor, so we will be moving on into the end of our show, which is now. We do not have anything else tonight because we have a lot more great content to come your way. Of course, not only on Thursday, Friday morning on the download on our Part 2 episode of episode 256. Of course, on that show, we'll be talking some Lucha Underground. We'll continue the tournament there. We'll also be talking some Impact Wrestling, plus all your big wrestling news that you haven't heard already. We'll be talking about some big things, I'm sure. And I'm not sure about the G1 stuff. We did not do the G1 stuff tonight because Sean wasn't on the show, and
right.
We know that Paul and Sean are the guys that talk about New Japan. So they may be doing a special. They may wait until, the show coming up to talk some of the G1 stuff. So we'll keep you posted. We'll let you know for sure. Just keep yourself in tune in what we're doing. And the best way to do that, once again, is to come check us out on W2Mnet.com. If you do it, you can come and search us out and, of course, see all our episodes and find out what we're doing week in and week out. Also, maybe just listen to us on your podcasting device, whatever you use, iTunes or whatever. Go ahead and go subscribe to Wrestling to the Max. The W2M Network is also another place you can go subscribe and rate and review to get our content. And, of course, YouTube's a big thing. Make sure you go subscribe there. Any of these places, you don't have to worry about missing any of our shows. If you're really interested in the G1 stuff and you're just like, I got to know where it's at, well, it's just that easy. You go subscribe, you check your inbox, and there it is. You just push play, and you are good to go. So make sure you pay attention. Make sure you find out where we're at. We also want to thank the people at 411mania.com. They're amazing. They got some great wrestling content over there. You need to go check out all their stuff. Trust me, it's really a great time. Besides that, we are done for tonight. I thank you so much for joining us once again. I am Gary Vaughan. He is Paul Leazar, and we will catch you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.